Good morning, grade 9 science. It's Alex here. So I'm going to be taking you through the rest of this unit. So I just want to go over a few things that we talked about yesterday, which was about the structure of the atom. So I'm just going to go through notes here. So basically, like nucleus is at the center of the atom. That is where the protons and the neutrons are, and that's where basically a lot of its weight. Oops. So the protons are positive, for P, for the easy way to remember it, has a mass of 1, atomic number. So if I had 3 protons, that would be one element. If I had 4, 5, 6, those would all be different ones. And yeah, it's found inside the neutron has no charge, it's neutral. So N for neutral, N for neutron. Also has a mass of 1. So those two elements combined are what are going to make up the mass of the element. It also determines the isotope. So it just says their isotopes are two of the same element with different masses. So if I had an element with 6 neutrons and an element with 7 neutrons, they would technically be different, but they would be part of the same element, basically. We're not going to talk about that too much, so don't worry about that. And also, it is also found inside the nucleus. And then electrons are negative. There's no fancy way of remembering it, like Monique said, but electrons are negative. They are the ones that are outside of the nucleus, so these blue dots that are circling around it. It basically has no mass, so it doesn't really factor into the weight of an element. It determines the ion, which we're going to touch on a little bit. So just a couple things to know. If it's a positive ion, it's called a cation. Cats are positive. If it's a negative ion, it's called an anion. Onions are negative. And that is found outside of the nucleus. And then here, there's just a little chart here to remember where everything is and all of its charges and weights. So protons are inside, mass of 1, they're positive. Neutrons inside, mass of 1, their charge is 0. Electrons are outside, and they have a negative charge. So I'm just going to show you this one thing I'm going to attach to the notes. It's called the Building an Atom Simulator. So I'm going to include this link in the notes. And then when you are there, just click on Atom, and there we go. And yeah, we're going to just build some atoms. So I'm just going to show you here. Let me just open these up. So net charge and the mass number. So if I put 1 proton, I'm just going to drag it to the middle there. This element is hydrogen. It has a mass of 1 because I put 1 proton in the middle. And it has a net charge of +1 right now because I have 1 plus. This is my proton. Protons are positive, so +1. And I didn't put any negatives yet. But now if I put an electron there to balance it out, you can see that the net charge is 0 now. And the mass still hasn't changed. So remember, it's only the protons and the neutrons that make up the mass. Now if I add 1, you can see that my net charge hasn't changed. But my mass number is now 2 because we have 1 proton, 1 neutron, 1 plus 1 is 2. If I add another proton, you can see that now I have something called helium. My net charge is +1 again because I have 2 positives and 1 negative. So 2 minus 1 gives us +1. And our mass number is 3 because we have 1, 2, 3 things in the middle. If I add another electron, now our net charge is 0 because I have 2 positives and 2 negatives. Our mass number didn't change, it's still 3, but if I throw another neutron in there, Now the mass goes up by 1, and you can see that the net charge also hasn't changed. So I'm going to include a link to that. You can play around with it if you want. There's also going to be a short assignment. It's, I think, 10 questions, multiple choice. But yeah, give that a shot. I know that you have some other assignments to work on too, so I kept this one pretty short. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I just had a couple more things I wanted to show you. If I can find it here. So I'm going to include another link to something called Flipgrid. I made one for our class here. I'm not too sure how well it works. I've only played around with it like very little. But basically it's like a little thing where you can take short videos and send them to me, and then I can watch them. So like if you have any questions, for example, you could send a video that way if you prefer. Yeah, I just set it up. I don't know if anybody's gonna use it. I don't know if it's gonna work out properly, but we'll give it a shot. Another thing too is I am going to include a link to my email, so you can email me with any questions. Yeah, that's all I can think of. I hope all doing okay, and I will talk to you later. Bye.